frankly, all of talk radio, an opposition to government and socialism that's on the march, if that's important to you, if that's something you cherish, it is still critically important to stay focused on this like a laser. And I know that you are. At 800-449-8255, Michael Savage thanks you greatly. His legal defense fund is up and running. The link also on his website, michaelsavage.com. This is not money that goes to his pocket, mind you. This is money that goes directly to the attorneys that will protect, defend, and fight for him and free speech rights, frankly, for all of us that have a microphone. Michael Savage does not need the money. He does not need the fame. That you can be sure of. I know that to be true. He tells you that often. He's not doing this. He's never been in this for the money or the fame or the notoriety. He doesn't need it. He's got plenty of all of it now. He's doing it now on principle. And I say again, it's just like you on your way to work, wherever it is you may work, whatever it is you may do. How would you behave? What truths would you tell? How would you stand up and fight if money didn't matter to you? Well, I think that's what Dr. Savage does. And I think that's what most of us, frankly, cannot do. Most of us don't live in a world, don't have a position where we can tell it like it is, be honest, be candid, and fight for what's right. And frankly, I believe once Michael Savage is taken down by the likes of a Jackie Smith and the United Kingdom, the United States will see that as a template for success in stamping out free speech right here in our own backyard. It's a trial balloon, if you will. And for those of us that are less inclined to fight because our livings are on the line, or for those of us that would water down our message, or fight a little less diligently because we're afraid they'll come for us next, you better believe there are scores of talk hosts all across the country that are willing to stand down and shut up rather than lose their paycheck. You better believe it's true. And they come in big and small sizes. So Michael Savage is doing yeoman's work right now. michaelsavage.com, his website. The Legal Defense Fund is there should you choose to assist. Alan has been waiting patiently on the Savage Nation in Santa Maria. You're next. Hello, Alan.
Yes, Chris. Thank you for taking my call. This action of the British government should sound a huge alarm across not only the United States, but every country that has freedom of speech still left in their existence. It's obvious that we are headed for socialism in this nation. That's the focus and the driven direction of those who are forming the new United States. And in order for them to accomplish that, they've got to silence the people and silence free speech. And by throwing Michael into the arena or the boxing ring to be banned is attacking the voice that speaks the loudest for America and its moral values.
Alan, you have it correct. You see it clearly, without question. Without question, you see it very, very clearly. And again, Dr. Savage is one of the last voices who remains untied, what's the word? I guess for want of a better term, Dr. Savage remains free to truly speak his mind in a way that, quite frankly, most of the premier marquee talk hosts in this country do not enjoy that kind of freedom today. For various reasons. Corporate interests, relationships within Washington, D.C. There are a host of reasons why a guy like Michael Savage is so frightening to Washington. And Dr. Savage has chronicled this on this program over years. During presidential campaigns, when candidates refuse to even acknowledge his existence, you're dealing with a man who is one of the largest talk show hosts and has one of the largest talk audiences in the entire country. Perhaps the world, and candidates for president, mainstream candidates who want very much to have your vote, come election time, will ignore this program and Dr. Savage as though it doesn't exist. And Michael has rightly pointed to that fact costing elections, costing people votes. I believe that to be true. They ignore him, though, because he is not accountable to anyone but himself and to you, the listener. He's not accountable to Washington, D.C. He's not accountable to the cocktail party circuit. He's not accountable to some corporate interest who runs multiple media outlets. He's always been very clear about this, which is what makes him so refreshing to the idea of free speech, but also so dangerous and threatening to the people that would love to take it from him. Alan, thank you for the call. Scott's in Indianapolis, and he's next on the Savage Nation. I'm Chris, in for Dr. Savage today. Scott, hello.
Hi, Chris. I think what Dr. Savage ought to do with his lawsuit right now is to just press forward with his defamation lawsuit against Jackie Smith, depose her, and start the evidence, or I forget what to call that, the evidence gathering, and start looking through the records and press forward. I think the British government will fold like a house of cards.
Forge ahead, says Scott in Indianapolis. Thank you, Scott. 800-449-8255, the phone number. michaelsavage.com, the website. What should Michael do now? Will he be taken off the list? Does it matter if he is? Will he have to wait till a conservative government is in power? When could that happen, if ever, in England? Why aren't more talk hosts coming to his defense? To what extent does this government owe Michael Savage some kind of defense or protection? Should they be involved in this decision, in this fight? 800-449-8255, those questions we explore today on the Savage Nation.
The Savage Nation.
He has it all covered.
Weekday afternoons 3 to 7. Talk 910 KNEW.
Stigall in for Dr. Savage. This is the Savage Nation, as michaelsavage.com is up and running for you to read the latest on his ban from Great Britain and what that government continues to say about his perceived danger to that country. As authored by Jackie Smith, then Home Secretary, she has since vacated the office, but the new Home Secretary seems to stand with her still. And even though the news story over the weekend and into early this week was the ban may or has been rescinded, nothing could be further from the truth. The British Embassy in Washington today confirming that they have not only not lifted the ban, there has been no action taken whatsoever to do away with this list or take Michael off of this list. Now, what has been most interesting about it to me is the silence by most of the mainstream media, and certainly specifically talk show hosts, radio talk show hosts in the United States, while the British government and the British media are deeply interested in this, and you can't even hear Dr. Savage in Great Britain on the radio. That's the anomaly here. That's what our government, our media, is ignoring one of the most prominent voices in talk radio today when he needs their assistance the most, while the British people, the British press, and the British government see fit to address it. Let me start, guys, with 7, if we could. This is, let's go back to the 18th of May. Shortly after this list was made public, Jackie Smith, then Home Secretary, had to answer questions being grilled in Parliament about the ban on Michael Savage. Listen to these.
Well, notwithstanding the Home Secretary's answer, she will be aware that the things of which she accuses Mike Savage is equally illegal in the United States of America, and he has not faced prosecution there. So does she realize how ludicrous her ban is? Does she realize the disrepute she has put this country in the eyes of many right-seeing people and indeed left-seeing people in the United States of America? And does she equally plan to ban Howard Stern, Rush Limbaugh, and other middle-aged, white, ordinary American radio presenters?
But for the Home Office to produce a name and shame list was a self-evident gimmick and demeaning to government, and has now produced a completely avoidable legal action which is producing splendid publicity for Michael Savage. On reflection, doesn't she think this was a mistake and the wrong way for the government to behave?
You know, what's interesting is Michael Fabricant makes an impassioned plea, it seems, in defense of Michael Savage. Now, Crispin Blunt, depending upon how you want to interpret his comments, may share the disdain Jackie Smith has for Dr. Savage. To me, in tone, I don't know, I can't say this for certain, but in tone, upon listening to that clip, this Crispin Blunt, the second voice you heard, another member of Parliament, with almost disdain in his voice to me, suggests, oh, the attention given Dr. Savage, don't you think now this gimmick has done nothing but embolden and enable someone like Dr. Savage. Almost as though he abhors the idea of giving Michael Savage publicity or more attention. And Michael Savage could do without it, thank you very much. But it's interesting. It seems to me you've got Michael Fabricant, a member of Parliament, who is deeply invested in the defense of free speech. Crispin Blunt, who's a little more incredulous that it gives too much attention to talk radio and more costly to government than anything else now that it has become a litigious matter with Michael and his attorneys. Two different points of view, but the point remains the same. It is the point I began this segment with, and that is their government's debating it and discussing it, no matter the side they're on, no matter your interpretation of what they're saying, they're talking about it in their parliament. Our government, our senators, our representatives, our president, our secretary of state, not a peep. Their media, the British broadcasting folks, got involved in this.